Welcome to today's news wrap up. Let's dive right into the top stories making headlines today. Senator Mike Lee has called for the United States to withdraw from NATO following a Norwegian fuel company's decision to stop fueling U.S. military ships. NATO really do not want to play those games with the U.S. The company, Haltback Bunkers, cited America's behavior towards Ukraine as the reason for its actions and encouraged other European nations to follow suit. I hope they try to play. I hope they try to play with us. They know we are the ones that actually fund NATO. But during a recent Oval Office meeting, tensions flared between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky, with Trump emphasizing the extensive military and financial aid the U.S. has provided to Ukraine, which is hundreds of billions of dollars. Zelensky's rude self faced criticism for his approach, including accusations of disrespecting U.S. leaders and dismissing diplomatic efforts. The fallout from these events has sparked debates over America's role in NATO and its support for Ukraine. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent revealed that Ukrainian President Zelensky has refused to sign mineral agreements for the third time, leaving U.S. officials frustrated. The deal was intended to strengthen U.S.-Ukraine relations by securing billions in aid in exchange for access to rare earth minerals, highlighting shared economic interests. Bessent described tense meetings in which Zelensky promised to sign at different events, but ultimately backed out each time. It was always something, including during discussions with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Mark Rubio. So it's not for our lack of trying. Critics, including Senator Eric Schmidt, accused Zelensky of antagonistic behavior and wasting opportunities for collaboration. This situation has raised doubts about the reliability of future negotiations. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. California Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency to expedite brush clearance projects as wildfires risks intensify statewide. The announcement comes after devastating fires recently ravaged parts of Los Angeles, prompting criticism that the decision was delayed. I mean, what took so long? The emergency measure aims to cut through bureaucratic hurdles like the California Environment Quality Act to advance forest management efforts. They painted themselves into this circle by the overregulation of from the state of California. But the plan also includes control burns. This is something that Trump talked about when he was running for office. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he was talking about this. He warned them they need to start burning some of these leaves and dead trees, and allowing private companies to assist with brush removal. Something else again, Trump warned about all of this stuff. But critics have pointed out that Newsom's earlier wildfire prevention claims were overstated and that the policy aligns with recommendations previously mocked when suggested by President Trump. That's what I was just alluding to. These developments have reignited debates over wildfire preparedness and environmental policy in California. A recent Gallup poll reveals that Americans' trust in mass media has reached the lowest point in over 50 years. Only 36% of respondents expressed, quote, no trust at all in the media ability to report news fully, accurately and fairly, up to just 6% in 1972. This lack of trust is more prevalent among Republicans, of course, because the mainstream media controls the majority of mainstream media, where Republicans with 59% saying they have zero confidence in the media compared to just 6% of Democrats. Overall, both television and printed news rank at the bottom of public confidence alongside Congress. Critics highlight numerous media inaccuracies and scandals, including coverage of Russiagate, Russia, and the Hunter Biden laptop store, which I covered into ad nauseum, as factors contributing to the public's growing mistrust. These findings underscore the challenges facing traditional news outlets in regaining credibility among Americans. I think it's just going to get worse because they haven't learned their lesson yet. In Los Angeles, Kanye West, now known as Ye, was seen wearing a white t-shirt featuring a black swastika, the only item currently for sale in his Yeezy brand collection. I'm all for freedom of speech and all that. Y'all know how I'm a freedom of speech absolutist, but it's definitely something going on with Kanye West. I think he needs help. I think he needs professional help. I'm not saying he needs to be on medication or anything, but something is definitely off with him from what he's doing, his antics. He's taking his stuff too far. But the controversial shirt titled HH-01, a presumed euphemism for Heil Hitler, caused an uproar after being briefly available for shipping to Israel before the website was shut down. West's actions, including a social media post stating it had been his dream to wear such a shirt, drew sharp criticism from Jewish organizations and activists. Many condemned his repeated promotion of anti-Semitic ideology with past incidents, including explicit support for Hitler and Nazi beliefs. West's account on the social media platform X has since been made unavailable, intensifying public backlash against his behavior. Again, hopefully he get the help that he need. I don't know what's going on with Kanye. California Assemblyman Rick Chavez Zibar has introduced AB 1333, a controversial bill that seeks to limit homeowners' rights to defend themselves, their families, and their home from intruders. You know, similarly to what happens in Europe. You know, you can't defend yourself in Europe. Someone breaking your house, you defend yourself, then you end up being prosecuted. The proposed legislation would redefine justifiable homicide, removing certain protections for individuals acting in self-defense. Of course, someone named Zibar would be pushing this. Zibar, however you pronounce his name. But Zibar argued that the bill aims to prevent incidents like those involving Kyle Rittenhouse. Well, what are you talking about? Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty. He defended himself. But again, involving Kyle Rittenhouse, where claims of self-defense follow acts of violence. Critics, including Republican Assemblyman David Tangipa, have condemned the bill, and rightfully so, questioning how homeowners could determine an intruder's intent. Right? Like, how are you gonna sit? Are you here to harm me, or are you just here to take my stuff? Oh, okay, you're here to take my stuff. Go right ahead. I'm sorry. Let me not shoot you. Let me not defend my house, my home, my family. That's just ridiculous. But the proposal has sparked widespread outrage, rightfully so, with many viewing it as an attack on the Second Amendment and personal safety rights. I don't think that bill, even if it passed, will pass muster, because I could see the Supreme Court shooting something idiotic like this down. The FBI has returned boxes of documents previously seized from President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home during a raid under the Biden-Harris administration. Trump, who has consistently maintained his innocence, described the seizure as a political attack and noted that the documents would be part of his presidential library. Alina Habba, Trump's counselor, personally oversaw the return of the boxes, emphasizing the restoration of justice. This development followed the dismissal of the DOJ officials involved in prosecuting Trump, as acting Attorney General James McHenry questioned their ability to execute duties impartially. Critics suggest these actions reflect Trump's commitment to addressing concerns over governmental overreach and restoring trust in federal institutions. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard criticized Ukrainian President Zelensky's approach to the ongoing conflict, suggesting his priorities differ from those of President Trump, who is focused on achieving peace. During a White House meeting, tensions escalated, like I alluded to earlier, when Zelensky expressed skepticism about diplomacy with Russia, prompting Trump to ask him to leave. Gabbard argued that Zelensky's insistence on a victory for Ukraine, even at the risk of escalating to World War III or nuclear conflict, demonstrates a divergence in goals. She emphasized Trump's commitment to peace and freedom, contrasting it with Zelensky's stance, which she believes could lead to catastrophic consequences. The incident has highlighted differing perspectives on resolving the conflict and the challenges of highlighting international interests. Ridiculous Boston Mayor Michelle Wu faced criticism after offering condolences for the death of a knife-wielding attacker shot by an off-duty police officer. That's right. You heard me correctly. Someone, the criminal. She was giving condolences to the criminal. The incident occurred at a Chick-fil-A where the attacker attempted to stab two individuals before being stopped by the officer. Now, she didn't give condolences to the people that were being attacked, who probably having that was a traumatic event. They probably having mental health issues, dealing with this trauma, and she's giving condolences to the actual attacker. You can't make this stuff up, but this is leftism in a nutshell. This is the loony left. This is the progressives that run the Democratic Party. Wu's remarks during a press conference sparked backlash, with many accusing her of sympathizing with the criminal over innocent victims. Critics like myself, including political figures and commentators, viewed her comments as indicative of misplaced priorities. The Democrats put every single other priority over the American people. Illegals over Americans, criminals over Americans, other countries over Americans. This is what they do. But the controversy has fueled broader debates about crime policies and the perception of progressive leadership in addressing public safety. Lastly, Ukrainian President Zelensky has signaled his readiness now all of a sudden. I think this is the fourth time he said he's ready to sign it. His readiness to sign a minerals agreement with the United States. States after recent tensions. I'm sorry. I just can't get over the flip-flop back and forth. Again, this is the fourth time that he said he was going to sign these papers. But speaking in the United Kingdom during a defense summit, he reaffirmed his previous commitment to the deal and expressed the desire for constructive dialogue. Zelensky emphasized the importance of ensuring that Ukraine's position is understood and voiced confidence that the U.S. would re-engage in discussions. The deal, which faced setbacks, followed by the heated Oval Office meeting with President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, remains a critical point in U.S.-Ukraine relations, reflecting shared economic and strategic interests. The situation highlights ongoing efforts, the back and forth, to align priorities and maintain diplomatic progress between the two nations. But ultimately, we want peace. We'll see if Zelensky really wants peace or not. But that's all for today's news wrap up. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.